Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Stamp Set Sunday. My name is Brenda Labataglia, and this is Memes Artful Inspirations. This is a special episode of Stamp Set Sunday. It is in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month. You can see by my nails last week, I went and had them done. Don't mind the chipping. I am so hard on my nails. I usually do them in clear as a result. But this past Friday at my place of employment, we were having a hope hike in honor of breast cancer awareness. But I do work in the Orlando, Florida area, and we were experiencing Hurricane Matthew. So we postponed the hope hike. We have rescheduled that for later in the month. But this episode of Stamp Set Sunday is in honor of breast cancer awareness. For all of you who are sensitive to cancers or have experienced cancers in your family, your loved ones, I just want to say that cancer sucks. My family has experienced it, and I'm sure yours has as well. And so while we have not experienced breast cancer, it is a time for, I just want to send love and care out to all of you who are experiencing it or have experienced it. And I'm just fighting right alongside of all of you. So as you know, Stamp Set Sunday is taking one stamp set and we make 5 projects with it so that you could see that there's value in the purchase of just one or just a few stamp sets in your collection. This one I've chosen in honor of Stamp Set Sunday, or in honor of breast cancer awareness, rather. You've got this stamp set. The 3 sentiments just fit real well with somebody who is currently going through treatment, who has recently lost somebody to cancer. These sentiments just apply. I'm here for you. Good things are going to happen, and you've got this. I like this background too. It's a little grungy. So, the projects that we made for this week are all black and pinks, little golds. Card 1, card 2, we use Wink of Stella. I love Wink of Stella. And who doesn't love Wink of Stella on some pink and black? Now I'm a purple girl, but I really love pink and black together. It's gorgeous. The paper, the designer series paper that we use through all of this is called Pop of Pink. It is in the 2016-2017 annual catalog. And through October 31st, 2016, there is a sale going on, buy 3, get 1 free. Some of the prices have been reduced from 13 down to 11, so you're going to want to take a look at that over on my website that I'll put at the end of the video. I'm going to show you how to make all of these. Gorgeous. This one, the golds. Now, these pieces here are from a kit, a past kit. Love Blossoms embellishment kit. Let me get this up here so you can see it. These are not for sale any longer, but as I have said in past episodes, if you've got them in your stash, use them. Love this gold polka dotted paper, the background stamp. This is Blushing Bride. Blushing Bride. It's gorgeous. This is a 5.5 by 5.5 square card. And then lastly, I contrasted the stripes with the polka dots. Again, stripes, some polka dots. You know what I used here? The Snow Flurry. These are snowflakes, but gosh, you can make them into little flowers. Little flower medallion here. This little ribbon too was in this kit that I just showed you in this kit. You've got little All kinds of fun things in there. It just needed a little something else there in that corner. Fun. All of these cards are standard sizes, easy to make. We use the Melon Mambo, the Blushing Bride, the Garden Green, and all of these amazing cards, cute cards that any woman or anybody experiencing cancers and going through treatment, because treatment is just as bad as the cancer diagnosis. And I work in the healthcare field, and it's no fun, no bueno, as one of my friends says very frequently. So in just a little bit, as the video goes on, we're going to show you how to make all of these wonderful cards that you too will be able to make and send to anybody who needs some words of encouragement. So hang tight and we will be right back. All right, so this first card, you're going to want to start out by stamping the rose using Versamark onto some watercolor paper. And then you can either use white embossing powder, but here I use the clear embossing powder, and then I heat set that using the heating tool. All right, so using rose gold, no, I'm sorry, so Melon Mambo and rose red for the flower, using the clear Wink of Stella brush pen. Squeeze some of the ink from the ink pad onto the bottom of the ink pad, and then just dip the Wink of Stella brush into the ink. It's like painting watercolor. It's real easy to do, and cleaning the Wink of Stella brush pen is real easy as well. You won't contaminate the Wink of Stella brush. You just be able to wipe it off onto a scrap piece of paper. For full instructions of all 5 of the cards, you'll be able to find a PDF of these over on memesartfulinspirations.com. There'll be photos and a PDF of all of the instructions for all of these cards, with all of the sizes and the supplies that are used in all of these cards. So I'm just here adding some color and some shadows so that when it's done, it looks like a rose. And I am not perfect at this, but I don't think making cards to send to loved ones and friends and colleagues, I don't think they need to be perfect. I think that our cards are handmade, and with the tools that we have at our disposal, I think any one of us can just make beautiful cards. And then, of course, when you are finished painting in your flower, you are going to fussy cut that out. And you'll just cut along the edges. Just filling in. I just heat set a little bit so that I could speed up the process and I could cut the flower out. Again, the card base is 4¼ by 5½. The matte layer, using the Pop with Pink, a sheet of paper from the Pop with Pink Designer Series paper, is 4 by 5¼ The rose image is about 2 3/4 long, so the watercolor paper that you might want to start out with is going to be 2 3/4 by 4. And we apply that to the matte layer using Stampin' Dimensionals. We apply the matte layer with snail adhesive. The black layer, that black layer is 2 3/4 by 4. And we run that through the Big Shot in the brick wall embossing folder. I've mentioned before that I design my cards on the fly. I don't really plan them out. I know I have a theme in mind. I know that I pick out the stamp set, and then with the sentiments, and I kind of go through my papers and decide what I'm feeling at the moment, and using the Pop of Pink, and I just have it all laying out on my desk, and then I just sort of go from there. So that's what you see me doing when I'm putting things on the card, and when I'm trying to kind of figure out the layout and figure out what images I want to put on there, what kind of embellishments I want to put on there, and I just kind of have fun with it. And that's what I would encourage you to do as well. Just kind of put your supplies out on your desk and just kind of start, laying things out. And if it's appealing to your eye, it's going to be appealing to the person who will receive these cards. So you see there that I just wound some of the the gold metallic thread just a couple of times around my hand, and just put that on the back of the flower. And again, that's popped up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. Next is the sentiment. It's stamped on Melon Mambo using my go-to black ink is the Memento Black Tuxedo, but the basic black ink is perfect for that as well. So I stamp that and then use the decorative label punch and punch that out and adhere that to the card using Stampin' Dimensionals. There, you see me, I'm just trying to figure it out, where it's going to land on the card. And once I do, Stampin' Dimensionals and pop it on there. There you have card number 1. Alright, so card number 2. Again, 4¼ by 5½. The matte layer, though, is a little bit smaller. It's 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And then you're going to want to rough up the edges a little bit just using a pair of your scissors. You're just going to rough that up a little bit. And then you're going to, with your sponge dauber or the Stampin' Up! Yellow sponge, here I'm just using a makeup sponge. That's what I had in my hands. You're going to apply Melon Mambo around the edges. You're going to use one of our lace doilies, and you're going to fold that over about 1/3 of the way. You're also going to need a 2-inch wide, probably about, 4 inches long of Melon Mambo. Run that through the scalloped tag punch and then through the fluttering embossing folder. Ink that up too, just adds a little bit of shadow on that. You're going to adhere both the doily and that tag and apply that, just to adhere it with snail adhesive. Just fold it over to the back and apply it with snail adhesive. Pop that up with Stampin' Dimensionals. Pop that onto your card base. Pretty easy, nothing too difficult on these cards. Apply some snail adhesive to the backs of those and apply it to the fronts. The sentiment we use for this card is good things are going to happen. We stamp that onto Whisper White using the Melon Mambo ink. And then we're going to use the Lots of Labels Framelits dies. Just find the appropriate size for your sentiments and run that through your Big Shot to cut that out. And then using one of Stampin' Up's hole punches, you're going to just punch a hole at one end of that. Because we're going to tie a ribbon. We're going to connect both the Melon Mambo tag and the sentiment tag using the 5/8 organza ribbon. And you saw there that I inked up the edges with the Melon Mambo of the sentiment tag. You just run the organza ribbon through both sides and you tie that into a bow. And then the Melon Mambo tag need a little bit something, so I stamped the rose head using Melon Mambo ink onto Whisper White, and then I fussy cut that out and adhered it using Stampin' Dimensionals. And there you have card number 2. Okay, card number 3. Card number 3 again is the standard card size, standard mat size, and then the image layer in this card is our own background. We create our own background using the rose petals. It's Melon Mambo ink on Melon Mambo cardstock. That layer is 5 by 3 3/4. Now, I didn't want any of the stem on here, so you do see me wiping some of the ink off with a paper towel, because I only want the rose part on the background. I've mentioned in past videos that you can easily create your own background paper. You can use images or you can use words. Having some background paper certainly adds some interest to your cards, and to me I think it just adds some, because the images are so pretty, it just adds some beauty to your card. The Designer Series paper is adhered to the card base using snail adhesive, but I do pop up the our own created background paper, the Melon Mambo with the roses. I do pop that up with some Stampin' Dimensionals. But we are going to add some 5/8 satin ribbon. You just cut off a length of that to fit the card, and you just use Scotch tape and tape that to the back. So you'll see here in a second we do that. Line it up to where you want to, and just fold it over and add some Scotch tape. Easy peasy. Nothing too difficult about that. Making cards does not have to be complicated, does not have to be hard. And I have a lot of folks tell me they're not creative, but hopefully these videos kind of give you some inspiration and shows you that, gosh, it really doesn't have to be too complicated. You can easily make some cards that folks will love. Alright, so now we need something on top. We are going to stamp this image onto some Whisper White, but we're going to color the rose Melon Mambo, and we're going to color the stem Garden Green. You can either, again, use your your sponge daubers or the Stampin' Up! Orange sponges, or here, because I had them laying on my desk from a different project, I was using makeup sponges. You just tap that on to each section of the image and stamp that onto the Whisper White. Alright, you're going to fussy cut all of that out. And while that is happening, if you'll just give me a second here, just want to mention to you that if you are thinking about wondering about what it's like to be a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I would love to chat with you about that. You could email me at brenda.labattaglia@gmail.com. Just send me some questions that have been weighing on you, and I'll be happy to answer anything you've got. At the end of the video, I will put the link to where you can find some additional information. Even if you just want to save money on your Stampin' Up! Supplies, being a demonstrator allows that opportunity. So see, we are just edging now that we fussy cut it, the rose, we're just cleaning up the edges and adding some color to the edges of the paper. And we pop that up with Stampin' Dimensionals. We also use the clear Wink of Stella to add some glitter to both the rose and the stem and leaves. The sentiment on this card is "I'm here for you," and I stamped it both in black and the Melon Mambo, and I decided to go with the black. I use, again, the Memento Black Tuxedo ink, but you could use the basic black. And then I just create a banner and apply that right over the ribbon. Just applying the clear the clear Wink of Stella over this image, just to add some glimmer. These are the rhinestones, and there's a period at the "I'm here for you," and I added that to it. And then here I am going over the words with the clear Wink of Stella as well. And what that did was add a little bit of a shadow to the card and some glimmer. And there you have card number 3. Card number 4 is a 5.5 by 5.5 card. I want to do a little bit of a different size for this particular card because I liked the gold polka dots on the Designer Series paper, and I wanted to see a lot of that, but I also wanted the image layer to be more close in line with the background stamp that is included with this You've Got This stamp set. So I'm laying everything out and preparing everything, and I have used the flower medallion to cut 2 flowers, and because originally I think that's what I'm going to put on here. As I mentioned in the introduction to this video, I had a kit left over with the Blushing Bride satin ribbon and the heart gold doilies, and it has some sequin and some ribbon bows, and I wanted to use these. They just all spoke to me for this particular card, the pink ribbon for breast cancer awareness. Adhering the gold foiled paper to the card base using snail adhesive. And the background image is Blushing Bride stamped onto Whisper White. And we're popping that up with Stampin' Dimensionals, but here you see that I'm using every last piece of it. I'm cutting off the edges so that I can just run that around the edges. And we pop that right in the center of those polka dots. The gold foil heart doily is popped up with Stampin' Dimensionals as well. Because the pink ribbon has that kind of dimension to it, I do add I stack two Stampin' Dimensionals on there so that it stands out okay. In this kit, the pearl strand was included. I just cut a length of that, and I'm using glue dots to adhere that to the Blushing Bride satin ribbon. Just using glue dots there. Just lining it up where I want it to go. And we are going to create a floral embellishment to sit on top of that. And you see there I had the two medallions, but decide that's going to be way too big. It's going to hide too much of the ribbon. So I look through what I've got here, and I find that I've got the Snow Flurry punch, and that worked out perfectly. It's the perfect size. The Snow Flurry punch has two sizes, and that is in the 2016-2017 annual catalog. You saw that I was kind of breaking the fibers of the paper so that I could form it and curl it into something that looks like a flower. Using glue dots to stack those together. I do use one of the floral medallions that I cut out. Nope, I'm sorry, that is not on this card. My apologies. I add a metal rimmed pearl to the center of this flower. And this is card number 4. Alright, our last card for this Stamp Set Sunday is a top fold 5 1/4 by 5 1/2. The black striped layer is 4 by 5 1/4, and then the polka dotted layer starts out being 3 3/4 by 5. And what I realized after putting this together was that I should have applied the polka dot paper on top of the striped paper because I wanted it to be cattywampus on the card. I should have applied it before attaching it to the card base because I wanted the polka dotted paper to be in direct alignment with the black and white striped paper. So I did want to make that note to you because you see here that I am struggling to cut it out evenly on there. So on this particular card, I do use one of the floral medallion pieces that I cut out, and I use the Snow Flurry again to create another floral embellishment. And I'm just using the bone folder there, and whatever you have, bone folder, the handle ends of your scissors, you can break the fibers of the flower, of the paper, and so that you can form it without creasing it, and curl the petals over. We're using glue dots again to attach all of the flower petals together, and then Stampin' Dimensionals to adhere the floral embellishment to the card base. Use 2 of them so I don't flatten out the flower like the curve of the petals. And then again I use the metal rimmed pearl for the center. For the embellishment, we use Melon Mambo. The sentiment rather is good things are going to happen. Stamp black on Melon Mambo, and then use the decorative punch to punch that out and adhere that to the card using Stampin' Dimensionals. I added some rhinestones to the 2 ends of that, and after I turned the camera off, I did add the Melon Mambo. It's probably rose. It's a rose red, but it matches very nicely to the card. Just need a little extra something, and I did that at the end after the camera turned off. There you have it, all 5 cards. I want to thank you all so much for joining me for this special Breast Cancer Awareness Stamp Set Sunday. Be sure to head on over to memesartfulinspirations.com, where you will find full instructions and for all 5 of these projects that include the sizes and the products used for each one of the cards. If you find you have any questions about any of these projects, be sure to send me a message to brenda.labattaglia@gmail.com, or you can put a comment below the video, or you can send me a note via the blog. Thank you again so much for joining me. I hope you all have an amazing day.